Hilchos Matnos Aniyim Perek Chi, the laws of gifts to the poor, chapter 9. Today we continue studying more about the laws of tzedakah, specifically about the collectors that were in charge of collecting tzedakah from the community and how community tzedakah used to work. It's a fascinating system today, no longer in place because of different socioeconomic circumstances. However, in the shtetl, when it was exclusively a village that was just being run by the Jewish people, many of these laws applied up till recent times. And so it's a fascinating element of Jewish law to be familiar with. It says that Rambam halacha aleph kol ir sheyesh ba Yisrael. Any city where there are Jews, chayavin lahamid mehem gabay tzedakah. They have to appoint tzedakah collectors. Anashim yeduim v'ne'emanim, people that are well known and trustworthy. Sheyu machzirin al ha'am me'erev Shabbos la'erev Shabbos. Their job will be to make a round, go to all the people every Friday, and collect from every person what he's supposed to give, the amount that's been specified in the communal bylaws, let's say. And on that same day, they would disperse the funds every single Friday. Such that every poor person got on Friday enough food for 7 days. This fund, the weekly fund, is called the kupa. Kupa literally means a box, but it refers to the money collection that's done every Friday to be given to poor people. There's another set of collectors. They need to go around every day, and they collect from every courtyard bread, different foods or fruits, or money donations that are only a one-time donation. This is a daily collection. And every evening they would distribute these foods. More like perishable things, not money. Money you can give for a week in advance. Food, there's no refrigeration in those days. So every day, if anybody had extra from supper, you give it to the collectors, and they would give it to the poor people. And they would give every poor person enough food for a day. This was called a tamche. Tamche means a bowl. But it's a reference to actual food. So kupa was a money collection once a week. Tamche is daily collection every day for food. Gimel me'olam le'ra'inu v'le'shamanu b'kol mi'Yisrael. Says the Rambam, we've never heard or seen of a Jewish community she'ein lahem kupa shel tzedakah. That doesn't have the first money collection, weekly money collection. Avol tamchoi, the second one, the daily collection, yesh mekayim shenagu bay, yesh mekayim shelein nagu bay. Some places keep it, some places don't. V'haminaga pashut hayayim. Today, says the Rambam, the common custom is to actually combine the two. Sheyiu gabay hakupa machazirin b'chol yom. The collectors in charge of the kupa go around every day. They don't go once a week, but they give out the funds once a week on Friday. Also on fast days, they give out special food packages to the poor. If a fast day passes by, and the people eat after the fast, and they go to sleep, and they haven't given out tzedakah to the poor, that's like spillers of blood, they're murderers. On them, it says in Kabbalah, while we think of it as the mystical tradition, Kabbalah is a reference to Navi, to the prophets and the writings. In this case, it's the book of Yeshaya. It says in Yeshaya, Tzedek yolin ba ve'ata meratzchim. Translated homiletically speaking, tzedakah sleeps overnight in it. In other words, you kept charity overnight without giving it. Now you're considered murderers. When are we talking about which tzedakah? If a person keeps it overnight, is he considered like a murderer? If we're talking about ready available food, they didn't give them bread or fruits with which to eat the bread, like dates or grapes. But if they delayed a collection of funds or wheat, which anyway is not readily edible, they're not considered murderers for that, because even had they given them out, the poor people couldn't eat them right that night. Hey, hakupa eina nigbes ala bishnayim. When we're talking about the kupa, the money collection box done every week, it's collected with a minimum of 2 collectors. We don't charge people with a job over the community when it relates to money matters, unless there's 2 people. We don't trust any single individual. Always got to have 2. This guy keeps an eye on him, he keeps an eye on him. Once it's collected, you can entrust all the money in the hands of one person. But the collection, always got to have 2. And when you give it out, you actually have to have 3 people involved. Because it's considered like a monetary law, legal case. After all, on Friday, you're giving everybody what they need for that whole week. And so you got to oversee it. Got to be at least 3 people overseeing it. The tamche, which is not a set amount anyway. It has to be collected with 3 people and distributed with 3 people. So I'm just summarizing. The tamchay every day is collected. The kupa once a week on Fridays. Another difference was the tamchay could be given out to any poor person. Whoever wanted food, because it's only for one day anyways. You want the food, you get food. The kupa was only for the local people of that city. The people of the city have the prerogative. They can exchange money in the kupa for a tamchay or tamchay for the kupa. Or to use the funds for anything that they need for communal needs. Even if they didn't make that stipulation clearly when they collected the money, they can do that. Certainly if there's a great sage in the city, in which case everybody gives their money collections, having him in mind, and he'll give it out as he wishes. Say the Rebbe, right? You give your money, and whatever he wants to do, he'll do with it. He can give it to whatever he wants of communal needs. It's totally at his prerogative. If there are 2 people collecting tzedakah, they cannot walk away from each other in the market. Only far enough, one goes to the gate, one goes to the store and gets the money. But too far off, now they're alone. And you can't trust one person alone with the money. If the collector finds money in the marketplace, everyone knows he's a collector. We don't want anybody seeing him put money into his own wallet. So even if he finds money, he shouldn't put it into his own wallet. In the meantime, put it in the tzedakah wallets. Everyone sees him, knows he's putting all the money that he gets into the tzedakah wallet. And when he gets home, take what's rightfully his, the lost object which he found. If the gabbai, the collector, was a creditor of somebody else, he had his own money, he was dealing with someone else, he had given him a loan of $100, and that guy paid him back while he's in the market collecting tzedakah. Again, don't put them into your own pocket, put them into the wallet of tzedakah. When you come home, take them. Do never count out the bills or the coins that belong to the communal fund 2 by 2, always 1 by 1. There's suspicion. You count 2 by 2, you might switch in your head the single numbers for the double numbers and take some of the money home. Always count 1 by 1. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, always be as clean as you can from God and from Israel. You're dealing with communal funds. We don't want any suspicion over you. If there are collectors of tzedakah that don't have who to give to at the moment, no poor people. They can have the money exchanged into bigger coins for other people, not for themselves, as we said yesterday. If there's collectors of a tamchay, just actual food, don't have who to give to, they should sell it to others, but not to themselves. On the other hand, we shouldn't impose strict accounting with the tzedakah collectors, nor should we do that for the temple treasury, because it says, we don't go down and calculate with them all the money given into their hands, because they work with trust. There's a basic level of trust that we have. As long as they're fulfilling all their conditions, we don't dig in to their pockets. Unfortunately, today, there have been numerous cases of people involved in collections that have been revealed to be dealing with fraud. And so today, the custom is to actually deal with detailed accounting. If somebody is in charge of a big communal fund, we do subject them to rigorous accounting laws, because really the risks are too high to be playing with fire like that. Halacha Yud Beis, Misha Yashav B'Medina Shleishim Yom. If somebody lives in an area for 30 days, he becomes a member and has to pay his dues to the kupa, to the weekly collection fund. Once he lives there for 3 months, now he has to also participate in the tamchay, the daily collection. Lives there for 6 months. He has to now donate also to the clothing fund in the local city. If you live there for 9 months, we force him to partake in the fund for burials which they make for the poor people by taking care of all their burial needs. You got to take care of the burial fund. So as you live in a city for longer, you have to take part in more and more of its local funds. Yud Gimel Misha Yeshlei Mizayin Shtei Sodis. This is a big question people always have when it comes to tzedakah. What's called a poor person? When do you define whether you can take tzedakah or not? So the Rambam says like this: if you have enough money for 2 meals, Astur loy little minatamcha. You can't take from the daily collection because daily is for that day's meals, 2 meals. You have 2 meals, you have enough for a day. You can't take from the tamcha. If you had enough for 14 meals, that's a full week of meals. Don't take money from the kupa, from the weekly collection, because you don't need for a week. If a person has 200 silver coins, even though you're doing no business with them, it's all you have in your bank. Or you have $50, but you're doing business with kind of investments, so you're going to make more money on it. You're considered rich enough that you don't have to take any produce that are given to the poor from fields, the fallen stocks, the forgotten stocks, the corner of the field, the ma'aser ani, the tithe to the poor, which we had in the first 6 chapters of these laws. But if you had 200 silver coins minus a tiny bit, even if 1,000 people are giving you at once, you can take it all. Even though you only need one of them, they're going to bring you above the $200 bracket, but right now you're $199. Take whatever you need. If a person had money, but they're on lien to somewhere else, to a loan or to his wife's ksuba, you're considered a pauper, you're considered poor, and you can take from the gifts that are reserved for the poor. If there's a poor person who needs food, and he has property, a courtyard, a home, household utensils, even gold or silver ones, we don't force him to sell his articles, even the gold and silver ones, to get food. You can still take it. It's a mitzvah to give to him. Obviously, if he's responsible fiscally, he should do his own accounting, but we can't force him to do that. What are we talking about? If we're dealing with food and drink utensils, clothing and bedspreads. But stam, silver and golden utensils, like a comb or a pestle that they use for grinding spices, things like that. We force them to sell them and take something of lower quality, and then we'll give you if you still need. When do we say this? Before he comes to collect from the people. But once he collects charity, round 2, no. We're going to go into your house, sell whatever is unnecessary, and then we'll keep on giving you more charity. If there was a homeowner that was traveling to the city, he has no more money to his name right now. At home he has much more money, but right now he has nothing what to eat. Wherever he is, he can take all the gifts to the poor. Fallen stocks, forgotten stocks, the corner of the field, tithe to the poor, even benefiting from the local tzedakah. Even when he gets home, no need to pay it back. At that moment he was poor. What's that similar to? It's like a regular poor person who becomes rich. Should he go now back and pay all the tzedakah again? Makes no sense. Consider the following case. A person has real estate, houses, fields, vineyards. If he sells them in the wintertime, it'll come for cheap. Nobody wants to buy stuff back in the wintertime. He'll only make $1,000 on it. If he waits till summertime, he'll sell it for the proper market price, $2,000. We don't force him to sell right now. We keep on giving him the amount of ma'aser ani till half of what it's worth. And we don't pressure him to sell when it's not time to sell. Now, we're not going to give him ma'aser ani all the time, only till half the worth of the real estate, that half that he would lose had he sold it in this winter time. If people were buying stuff at premium prices, and this person particularly can't sell for a high price because everybody knows that he needs it. Right? When you need someone more than they need you, you're going to get the lesser end of the deal. So this poor guy, everyone else is selling real estate for this price. He can't sell because everyone knows that he needs. We don't force him to sell. We don't let the system take advantage of him. We don't force him to sell. Let him keep eating from the communal funds, tithes to the poor, till he can sell it for a good price, and everyone will know that he's not going to lose just because he's in a bad state. There's a poor person, they collect a charity for him to fill his needs, and then ends up there's extra in the fund. He gets all the extras. Aniyim, because the extras that were given for poor people go to the poor people. Same thing for redeeming captives. If there's extra money, it goes to them. If there was a collection for a specific captive, the extras go to that specific captive. Extra money from a fund that was used to collect for dead people, to bury them, goes to dead people, in other words, to other dead people to help them get buried. If there's a collection for a specific dead person, it goes to his heirs, any extra money from the campaign. If a poor person gives a donation to either of the two communal funds, the tamchay or the kupa, we take it from him. But if he didn't give, we don't force him to give it. If the fund had given him new clothes and he returns the clothes after wear and tear, we take it from him. Again, if he didn't give, we don't force him to give. In other words, the point is that the poor person, it's his prerogative. Whatever he wants to give, will take. If he doesn't want to give, he doesn't have to give.